Hey legends, how we doing? Today's video, we're going into a deep dive. What we're going to do, we're going to go through every single class in the EA Sports WRC. We are going to go right from the slowest car class, which is the H1 of front wheel drives, right up to the fastest, which is the WRC class, of course. Now this is just as a rough guide so you guys are aware of, what's happening in the game. Before anything does change, like major changes between, like, say, physics and stuff later on. This is the meta now. Got me little mate here, Aussie, the little lorikeet. He's going to be hanging around. He was just having a whinge in his cage, so he decided he wanted to be hanging out with me and you guys. So, and yeah, let's get into it. So the H1, so the breakdown of how I've done it, I've done the best time, or the best cars for dirt, and then the best cars for 100% asphalt classes. Both strategies that I've used here, basically I've just decided to do it in drier stages, not wet, so drier. So there is some little bit instances for here and there for a bit of change, but honestly, pretty good guide. This has taken me freaking ages, so if you could, a like would be awesome. So F1 front wheel drive cars. So the hard meta for the dirt actually ended up being the Vauxhall Nova Sport. Overwhelmingly too, I might add. Second for this one was the Lancia Fulvia HF. So yeah, that's the meta for that. Now when it comes to tarmac stages, pretty interesting, man. We had a bit of a flip here. So the top 166 spots on the leaderboard was actually the Vauxhall. So if that isn't a hard meta, I don't know what is. But second was actually the Mini Cooper. So that's pretty cool. Bit of a flip-flop there. I suppose I could see it with the Mini. Pretty nimble. So then we're going to move on to the H2 front-wheel drive class. So for the dirt stage, the number one spot was the Volkswagen Golf GTI. Overwhelmingly. The second spot was actually the Peugeot 205 GTI, which is this one here. That was pretty close, if I'm pretty honest, but they were the top two by head and shoulders, to be honest. When I flipped around to being a tarmac stage, it was a flip again, believe it or not. So the Peugeot 205 GTI was actually in first spot by a pretty big margin, and then the second spot, it actually flipped around to be the Golf GTI. So that's pretty cool. Different conditions, different cars, but the two of them are battling out. Sadly, the 309 GTI just doesn't cut the mustard, man. Doesn't cut the mustard. From then, we're going to go to the H2 rear-wheel drive class. Now, the top spot was absolutely, overwhelmingly the Alpine A110 1600S by just an insane amount, like crazy. The second spot was a Ford Escort Mark II. Yeah, it's just renowned in rally, that car, isn't it? So it's not really surprising. When it flipped around to being 100% asphalt or tarmac stage, it was literally rinse and repeat. So the Alpine was in number one, and the Escort again for tarmac stage. And from there, we're going to go to the H3 rear-wheel drive class. So for the dirt, this probably isn't going to be a surprise to a lot of you guys who actually like this class, myself included. I knew it from the get-go. It was actually the Escort Mark II McRae Motorsport. My personal opinion, I think this car is way too quick for the class. It's like leaps and bounds in front of everything. It's not even close, man. So if you're gonna try and do anything in this with world records and stuff, you're not going to be able to touch the Escort with anything else, which is sad, because I actually like using the BMW Evo Rally. I find that car very fun. Second spot for that car, for that spot in the dirt stage, was the Lancia Stratos. Just a very well balanced car, this one. So, I'd actually like to see the McRae and this thing, maybe buffed and nerfed, whatever, just so it's a little bit closer, but you cannot touch the McRae. It's insane. And then when we go to the 100% tarmac or 100% asphalt stages, so again, rinse and repeat, we had the Escort, unsurprisingly really, for first, and the Lancia Stratos in second. So pretty interesting, but again, not surprising. Group B rear-wheel drive we go to now, guys. So in the dirt stage for this one was pretty interesting. It was actually the 037 Evo 2 Lancia was in the top spot. So I don't know if you guys actually like this class, but I personally do. I usually use the Porsche, to be honest, and I usually use the BMW M1, but anyway, that's not the meta. So the first spot, again, Evo 2. Second spot was actually the Porsche. So, you know, I don't know if you guys have driven this class yourself, you'd understand the Porsche is probably the easiest out of all these to drive, I find. Just a very well balanced car with not too much power. It's different when you try and use the BMW M1 Pro car, because that thing has so much power. It's just all about throttle manipulation the whole time. Like, it spins out like this. It's pretty crazy. So yeah, now we go to the tarmac stages, or the 100-foot asphalt, and we actually had the Lancia 037 Evo. That was in the top spot. And in the second was actually a bit of an upset. We had the M1 Pro car. Through testing, what I've usually done, I've go through probably the top 60 positions to work out the averages and what's what, and the Pro car was actually up there, so I was actually pretty surprised, to be honest. It's pretty surprising, considering how hard that car is to drive. Yeah, pretty wild, man. From there we go to the Group B 4-drive car class. So basically on the dirt stages, we had, you guys obviously would know it straight off the bat, the 205 216 Evo 2. That car is just seriously quick, man. Once you work out how to drive the car, because it has such a insane turbo lag, so a lot of, you know, quick revs to keep up the revs basically without bogging down too much. This car is head and shoulders above the rest. The second spot was actually the where is it? The Lancia Delta S4. So I only just did a video on this the other day from one of my subscribers recommending this car, and really surprised me, and it reflected that on the leaderboards. Very quick car, man. Very quick car. Yeah, probably not surprising for you guys, but I personally only use like the Peugeot and the Lancia in this class, so pretty the Audi Quattro, sorry, pretty surprising. When it flipped to the tarmac stages, though, 100% asphalt, we had this Sport Quattro in first. I really couldn't believe this, considering how hard that car is to drive, just from its sheer size. Yeah, very surprising. Second spot, we had the 205 T16 Evo 2. Not that surprising at all, really, but to be honest, I really thought it would be flipped around, so that's pretty cool. From there, we're going to go to the Group A class. And so Group A in dirt was actually, probably not surprising again, Lancia Delta HF. This car is probably, well, reflected in the leaderboards, but from personal experience, this car is just such a well-planted car. You can really send this thing into the corners knowing that you can trust what it's going to do. Just does not step a foot out of line. A really good car. Second spot in the dirt was the 95 Impreza. Personally, I would have thought it might have been the Legacy, but the Impreza is a very nice car to drive as well. Probably one of my favorite cars in the game to drive. When it flips around to tarmac, we had the Lancia Delta HF Integrale again, so not surprising just how awesome this car is. But what is surprising, we actually had a tie for second place between the Legacy RS and the Impreza. So these two are literally from the top 60, I think it was, or the top 50, no, it's the top 60. The same, stacked in the leaderboards with around the same sort of times too, cutting it down off the Integrale. So pretty wild, man, pretty wild, eh? From there, we're going to move over to the F2 kit cars. I only just started experimenting with these cars myself. Very fun cars to drive. I wish I started earlier, because it's pretty unique way to drive these cars. Anyway, the dirt stages, overwhelmingly, and when I say this, I really mean it, overwhelmingly, was the Peugeot 306 Maxi. This thing, man, talk about domination in leaderboards. This thing was actually wild, hey. Very strong car. Second, we actually had the Renault Maxi Megane. So I haven't used this car myself, but being a 7-speed sequential, really some pretty interesting things of tuning there. Don't know. When it goes to tarmac, now this was, oh man, like what the hell, man? We had the Peugeot. You won't believe this, guys. The Peugeot 306 Maxi had the top 198 spots. Like, from first to 198 was the Peugeot. Insane. That is just... what the hell? You believe that shit? Oh, man. Crazy. And then, after that was a Renault Maxi. So, you know, those two are actually the same standing. So, pretty interesting. I really thought that the Golf would be up in there, but just, yeah, it wasn't anywhere near it, unfortunately. Shame, I like that car. And then from the F2 kit cars, we move over to the S1600 class. So in the dirt stages, boys, we had the Renault Clio 1600. Pretty stacked leaderboard with this one. Definitely the hard meta. In the second, we had the Citroen Saxo Supersport 1600. These two were clear above everything else, like clearly better. But once we went over to the asphalt, which is sometimes, I don't know why this is, but it's the case, it was actually flipped, man. The Citroen Saxo was the top spot, and then in the second spot was the Renault Clio 1600. So pretty crazy, man. I don't know how that happens, how it flips like that, but yeah, very cool to see. I enjoy when it's like that, when stuff flips around. Just keeps stuff a little bit interesting, you know. Stale meta stuff is pretty boring, which, you know, the McRae R4 and that rear drive class, that's, you know, I find that boring. Moving over to the S2000 class. So once we go into the dirt, the Opel Corsa was like, man, just so far in front, it wasn't funny. So that's the top one. Second spot was for the Peugeot 207 S2000. Unfortunately, the Fiat didn't really... like, it was up there in a few spots here and there, but just not enough to really warrant it to be there, unfortunately. These two are just... yeah, just quicker, unfortunately. You wouldn't really think it, but a lot quicker. When it moved over to the tarmac, or the asphalt, we had the Opel Corsa in the top spot again. And then we had the Peugeot 207 in second spot. So just a mirror of the dirt class, you know, is what it is, unfortunately. From there, we're going to move over to the NR4R4 class. I actually really enjoyed this class, but this is another case where the meta is just so strong that it's a bit unfortunate. And, you know, to be honest, this car shouldn't really belong. It wasn't even really competing at that time. So anyway, that's just my opinion. Let me know if you guys, you know, I feel that way as well. I don't think the McRae R4 should be in here, or if it is, it should be heavily nerfed, because it's actually insane how far ahead this car is. Just using it, you'd understand, like, it's a crazy car. So the dirt, obviously, McRae R4 was the top spot. What was actually pretty cool was actually the Lancer Evo was in second. It was behind a bit, obviously, but I was actually thinking that the WRX and the Lancer would be a little bit more neck and neck. But yeah, no, unfortunately. Though personally, I do love I like the STI over the Lancer, but just didn't reflect it in the times on the leaderboard, unfortunately. When it went to the asphalt, 100% asphalt, we had the McRae R4, just leading the pack, unfortunately, leading the pack. And then we had the Lancer Evo in second again, so the same for asphalt and dirt. So, you know, is what it is. We move to the Rally 4 class now. And basically, when it comes to top spot for dirt, we actually had the Fiesta Mark 8 Rally 4. By a pretty big margin too. I was actually pretty surprised, hey? Pretty surprised. Second spot, we had the Peugeot 208 Rally 4. This thing, pretty close, hey, if I'm honest. But then again, it does come down to drivers' preferences and styles. You know, some guys are good with most cars, others are just good with a couple cars. But, you know, these two are pretty close, so I reckon you could probably use either if you wanted to. When it comes to the asphalt, the top 27 spots back to back was the 208 Rally 4. So this is actually flipped, man. Again, I love seeing this stuff. And then when I went to second place was the Fiesta Mark 8 Rally 4. So pretty cool. Pretty cool. Like, yeah, but the top 28, that's a pretty heavy stack, isn't it? Pretty wild, man. From there, we move to the Rally 2 car path. So, for the you guys that do run this class, you will not be surprised at this one, but for the dirt, we had the Skoda Rally 2 Evo. Man, that thing, just domination. Pure domination. Unfortunately, it just is what it is with that, man. The second place was the Focus R5 Mark 7 Evo 2. It was up there, but again, hard meta for the Skoda. Cannot touch that thing. It's way too quick. Way too quick. So when we go to the tarmac, again, same, but it was the actual, well, believe it or not, although you might believe it, the top 50 spots was the Skoda. Top 50 back to back. Like, damn, how crazy is that? But the biggest upset was for the second spot on tarmac, asphalt stages, sorry. The Peugeot 208 216 R5. That was there. So, a bit of a beatdown on what was, you know, for the dirt stages. But, you know, again, if you've driven the car, probably not surprising. Very planted car and a very comfortable car to drive, I'd say. From there, we move to the World Rally Car 1997 to 2011. Personally, this is probably my favorite class in the game. So much variation between the cars and just a very good lineup. So I don't know if you guys are the same, but I really love running these cars, eh? So on the dirt, for guys who do run this, they're gonna just guess it straight off the bat. Number one spot was the Citroen C4 WRC. If you've used this car, you know that this thing just gathers so much speed on a little bit of a longer straight or something like that, and then you just get a far better average speed across the whole track if you're smooth. So it's a runaway thing, unfortunately. But what was very, very, very interesting to me, the second spot was actually the Seat Cordoba WRC. I've only used this car a couple times, but I had no idea it was so competitive, eh? Really, 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 really bloody interesting. I was actually thinking it'd be the Subis, but yeah, man, head and shoulders above the rest of this one. When it comes to the tarmac, though, again, well, unsurprisingly, it was actually back to the C4 WRC. Had you there for a sec. But when we went to the second, it was obviously the no, it wasn't actually. I'm just double check my notes here. It was the Focus RS 2008 model, which is this one here. So yeah, that was actually pretty even when it come to the asphalt stages. Pretty bloody close, eh? But again, if you've used this car is a freaking excellent car, and very, very, if you're new to the game, very friendly to drive too. You can really trust this car. Really, really trust it. Now, when we go to the World Rally Car 2017 to 2021, you guys have driven this car, you'd obviously know that the Ford Fiesta is just quicker against the VW, is what it is. So first we had the Fiesta, second we had the Volkswagen Polo, then went to the tarmac stages or the asphalt stages. We went literally mirror, so exactly the same. Fiesta number one, Polo second. Now, when we go to the WRC Junior class, I just want to premise with this class, I typically use a builder car. And when I do, I'm usually, to be honest, quicker than the other two cars in this class. I didn't see it reflect on leaderboards too much because I don't know if people really know this just yet. But when I usually set these cars up, I make it a mid-engine build, and it's, for my style, very, very loose and drifty, which is how I like to drive to carry speed through corners. So just keep that in mind. Just keep that in mind, okay? I find it interesting anyway. But what was the hard meta was the Fiesta Rally 3. That was the top spot. Second spot on the dirt was the Rally 3 Evo. And when they come to the 100% asphalt class or stages, it was literally the same, man. So number one was the Fiesta Rally 3. Number two was the Rally 3 Evo. Not really surprising if you've driven these two cars, but do recommend the builder car, man. Really do recommend it. It will surprise you because it actually shocked me when I first drove it. I was like, wow, this is some untapped potential here. WRC 2 car. So Again, if you guys have driven this class, you're gonna know what the standout car is, man. You know, you're gonna know straight away. But it's actually the top spot for dirt was a Skoda. What? Do you hear that crap? Damn, I'm talking too much. Skoda Fabia RS Rally 2. Head and shoulders above the pack. Head and shoulders above the pack, boys. So really, really, really quick. But what was interesting was the GR Yaris Rally 2 was the second spot. I really thought it would have been closer between these two, but the Skoda, for whatever reason, is just a runaway car compared to this. Even though the specs are very similar, really. Just the Skoda has one cylinder more than the Yaris, so a bit baffling, really, on paper. But anyway, when we went to the 100% asphalt class, it was literally the same again. Fabia had the top spot, and the GR Yaris was second, so not really surprising here. And now we're going to go to the top ones, the fastest, the big dogs, man. The big dogs. Though I don't really like driving these cars myself. I find them a little bit bland, a little bit boring, but it is what it is. Some guys love these cars, but for me, again, I love the World Rally car, the 97 2011 class. I find them a lot more fun. Anyway, let's just not harp on about that crap. The top spot, unsurprisingly for you guys probably, was the GR Yaris Rally 1 Hybrid, the 2023 one. Now, I just want to say this before we get into the new influx of the newer cars in this. At this stage, on most of the leaderboards I looked at, going through the top 60 spots, usually this car was the number one out of them all. Though I think it's probably the next month or something, when more people start using the newer cars in this class, it may reflect that in the leaderboards, but very, very heavily stacked in favor of this thing. The actual second spot was the i20 Rally 1 Hybrid, which was the 2023 model again, so I'm assuming this is what's going on. It's just so heavily stacked with the newer cars, with the older cars, but when the newer cars start coming in, people learn how to sort of drive them a little bit more tuning, these will start hammering. So 1 and 2 there. When it went to the tarmac stage were 100% gravel. Again, we had the 2023 GR Yaris Rally 1 Hybrid. This actually took the top 48 spots, so from 1 through to 48 was just this car. Undeniably the meta, undeniably. But what was pretty sick to see is the Ford Puma, man, actually, well, the 2023 model anyway. No, actually, I lie, it was a 2024, now I'm looking at the sheet. That actually had the second spot, so that's really, really cool. Just shows people are starting to experiment a little bit more and shaking up the meta. So I just want to leave this video with saying this is just an idea so you guys know what to do. But I'm a big believer and a bit of a preacher as well, just to stay away from the meta cars. They're not that fun really if everyone's using the same stuff. I use the off meta cars, like just a lot better, a lot more fun, and once you get a really good rundown, it's just that much more rewarding to just get that run in the bag, knowing that you might not be as fast as the fastest car, but if you can beat some of the meta cars, man, that is a win in my book. If you can, give us a like, consider a subscribe, because this video took ages to make for the breakdowns, like literally going through the leaderboards up until like a top 180 in some cases. It was pretty grueling. But yeah, man, gonna leave it there. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Got some pretty cool information, and yeah, man, just happy to see some more stuff going on with this game, because I'm really, really digging it. Cheers.